This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual PURGE sanctioned by the U.S. government. DNFing books for any reasons have been authorized for use during the PURGE. Books that are not in the included category for the video have been granted immunity at this time and shall not be purged. Commencing at the siren, any and all DNFing will be legal until the end of this video. Bookstores of any kind will be unavailable until the end of the video until the purge concludes. Blessed by Barnes & Noble, indie bookstores, and all other booksellers. A nation reborn. May God be with you all. Okay, this video has already started. And we already have our first ditch. I'm shocked. I thought we were starting this video off with like the best chance at me liking this book, but I feel like I shouldn't have been surprised because I've tried reading this book twice. But I refused to DNF it because so many people loved it that I was like, no, there's no way I'm getting rid of this. There's absolutely no way. I have to like this. And I read 70 pages and I'm so bored. And it's kind of the same way that I felt about Margaret Owen's other series, Merciful Crow. I read both books and I don't think I could tell you what happened to them. I was so bored. I still have them upstairs because I kept them because I was thinking that I was going to love this. So now I'm going to get rid of those 2 books too. So that is 3 books off my shelves. I'm flabbergasted, actually flabbergasted how boring I thought this was. I can see why other people like this, but I could not pay attention. I also read some reviews and apparently the German is totally wrong in here. I don't know German, so I don't 100% know, but there was apparently some, like, all the 1 stars were German native speakers talking about how terrible this was because of how bad the German is in here. I don't know the story behind that. I don't know, but I did see that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I couldn't tell, obviously, because I don't know German. But, yeah, this was so boring. And I am so glad I didn't buy the second book. I thought I was going to love this, and I almost bought the second book, but this year and last year, I started, like, a don't buy the next book in the series until you're caught up with it, except for, like, certain circumstances, and I'm so glad I stuck to that with this. So glad I stuck to this. So, this is a DNF. We're getting rid of it. I feel like it's one of those situations. I don't love fairy tale retellings, and I feel like this definitely felt very fairy tale retelling. It's kind of how I felt about Thornhedge, where if Thornhedge was a full-length novel, I don't know if I would have made it through. And I was going to tell you what it's about, but I really can't tell you. I feel like I'm not qualified to tell you what this book is about. But it has to do with fairy tale retelling. It's a retelling of Goose Girl, which I don't know, which may also have contributed to me not, like, loving this. But yeah, we're DNFing this. That was very fast. 70 pages in, it's a DNF. And I did read it on my Kindle first because it is on Kindle Unlimited. And then I attempted the audiobook when I wasn't enjoying the physical reading experience. And the audiobook's actually really good. I just did not care. I found myself zoning out and just not caring. So next up, we have A River Enchanted. I hope this goes better. If this is like Divine Rivals, I will throw something. I hope this is like Where Dreams Descend. I loved that one. That was a 5-star. So we're hoping for that, not Divine Rival. Let's get to reading A River Enchanted. Okay, I have 2 updates. If you can't tell by how my face looks, it's so puffy. I've been crying all morning because of one of these books. But I have 2 different updates. Let's talk about the book that I ended up DNFing, which you guys are gonna be so mad about, but again, I'm so stuffed up. I'm not super surprised about it, but I ended up picking up A River Enchanted, and I got to 45 pages, I think, and I really did not like this. I did not like this at all. And it just felt very similar. Like, I actually like the writing of Divine Rivals better than this one. I couldn't even make it through this one. I was so bored. It employs a writing style that I generally don't like in fantasy, unless it has a very specific message or it specifically draws you in with the plot. Like, it's very detached. Like, you're very separated from your characters, where it's almost like you're like this like overlord looking over these characters and they're doing stuff, and you just feel so detached from the storyline and the characters, and I have to feel attached to the characters couldn't tell by how my face looks. If I'm attached to the characters, it makes such a big difference in my reading experience. But I was just reading this and I was so bored. And I was texting Marissa and I was like, I just looked and I feel like I've been reading for hours and I've read 34 pages. She was like, oh, that's not great. And I didn't like the audiobook, so I was like, okay, maybe let me check the audiobook just in case. No, I didn't like that either. I really didn't like the audiobook for this either. So I then picked it up again, and yeah, I got about 10 pages more through it, and I was just like, I literally don't care. Like, I do not care anything that is happening in here. So unfortunately, A River Enchanted is another DNF for Illumicrate. But again, it's kind of like Little Thieves, where I can see why people like it. It's just not my style. Like, I would have went to the bookstore and read the first chapter and been like, oh, this isn't for me. So I feel like this one is less Illumicrate just picking bad books and them just not aligning with what I like. So again, same for Little Thieves. I can see why people like it. It's just not aligned with the writing style and what I like to read about. So another DNF, but again, I'm not really mad about it. I'm a little grumpy about it because I really thought this was going to be like the one, because Rebecca Ross, I thought she was going to be a favorite author because I loved Dreams Lie Beneath. I think that's what it's called. I loved it. That's a 5-star. It's one of my favorite standalones I've ever read. Love the writing style of that one. And then I read Divine Rivals and I give it a 3. I thought it was very mediocre. And then I tried Ruthless Vows and I hated it. And I really think that series is more because it is more along the lines of historical fiction with kind of fantasy elements thrown in there that I didn't really like. So I liked the writing of Divine Rivals. This one, I don't like the writing. So it's like totally different reasons why I didn't like now 2 different series from her. So I feel like I would try another Rebecca Ross just because I know I'm capable of liking her books, but I am suspicious. This is definitely just written very different than the other 2 that I read from her. This was the DNF, and the book that I read a little bit last night, and then I read the rest this morning. And I literally couldn't breathe at one point. I was crying so hard. I feel like the last time I cried this hard was when I read the ending of Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, I couldn't feel my face for like an hour after I finished that book. And I feel like I'm gonna have a headache and a puffy face for the rest of the day. I read Gallant. That so unexpected. So very unexpected. Oh yeah, and I can't really tell you what River Enchanted is about because I really don't know. Like, I was like, oh, I should probably tell the audience what the books are about, but like, I can't. It has to do with an island and people living on the island and clan fights, I guess. Gallant is a weird one. Gallant is such a weird one where it is listed as young adult. It's listed as like fantasy, young adult, horror. And I agree with fantasy and horror, but I actually think it's this weird, it's funny. The general story is very middle grade, which I really never like. And then the topics though that are discussed and the grief and the family dynamics and just the themes of this are very adult. So it is both middle grade and adult at the same time, but it's not young adult. But it's listed as young adult. So I guess if you put the 2 together, it comes out as young adult, I guess, is where I'm at. But a lot of the story feels very similar to a Coraline-esque story. It's much more, I would say it's a little more adult than Coraline, because Coraline's storyline is definitely a kid's story, but with like young adult horror in it. This is like a middle grade story with adult horror / grief into it. So it is like an older version, I feel like, of Coraline. We're following our main character, Olivia, who is a mute orphan who doesn't know where her mom is, doesn't know why she was left off at this awful school. So it opens up at the school and then she is sent for at this place called Gallant. And apparently that's where her family is. And then it just kind of spirals from there. And it does so many cool things. It does so many cool things. Again, it does a lot of what It does a little, it's different than Coraline, but it does have a similar idea behind what Coraline does. And think a little bit Stranger Things, like what Stranger Things does, but nothing like Stranger Things. Do not think this is like Stranger Things. It's just so heartbreaking. Like, this is one of the more upsetting and depressing books I've ever read. Like, this is almost like a grim fairy tale. Like, it's so sad and there's so much pain and oh my gosh, but it's so good and so beautifully written. Like, I don't understand how V.E. Schwab managed to just pack such a massive punch in a 300-page book about a child who is dealing with grief this much. It was just, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And a lot of the sadness comes from, like, the parents. So, like, you're trying to figure out what's going on and what happened to parents. There's a diary that the mom writes in, and that's what really got me. Like, that's what set me off. Like, I was doing okay and I was thinking the book was decent, but then the 50% mark hit and there's these, like, she reads a bunch of diary entries and I was just like and then I did not stop crying pretty much from that point to the end. I'm like, I can't recover from this. I'm probably not gonna be able to read anything the rest of the day. Like, I feel so, like, just emotionally drained, but I loved this book. I gave it a 5-star. Like, there is no other rating that I can give this. I can 1000% see why people did not like this. This, I feel like, is not at all what I was expecting. It's also very different as far as I'm aware. I haven't read another V.E. Schwab. It's apparently very different than anything that V.E. Schwab has done before. Oh wait, no, didn't she write Invisible Life of Addie LaRue? Okay. Maybe the last time I cried this hard was with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Okay, so apparently I just like her more emotional things. Like, I haven't read any of her just general fantasy stuff. No, I have not read A Darker Shade of Magic. I have them all. Haven't read them. I totally forgot she wrote Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The emotional impact of this feels very similar to Addie LaRue and how Addie LaRue, like, reflects on things. The mom's journal entries feel like how Addie LaRue speaks and talks about herself and life. That makes a lot of sense now. Like, I feel like that makes so much sense. But yeah, this is a 5-star. This is what I wanted from Illumicrate. Like, it's kind of unique, but the writing is so good. The writing is so good. It packs this emotional punch. It's just something that I would not necessarily go out of my way to pick up, but it's like this hidden gem kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely know this one is not for everyone though. But yeah, 5-star. I'm so happy there's at least something good in this vlog, since we have DNF'd Voyage of the Damned, Little Thieves, and River Enchanted. That makes my head hurt that I've already DNF'd so many. But again, that's kind of the point of this. The point of this is to get caught up and really figure out what is going on with my book subscriptions. And Illumicrate is first on the chopping block because I'm at a 42% DNF right now. 42%. That's crazy. But then there will be like this, and it's like 5-star. 5-star. So yeah, 5-star. Let's find out what our next book is, because we're going in order. We may go out of order later, but oh, you know what? I'm excited about this one because everyone hates this book. Everyone hates this book so much. So let me go grab the next book. We are down to 15 books, guys. Like, we're getting there. We're getting there, because I keep forgetting, because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on there, and then 12, 13, 14, 15. There's a couple on the cart, which is why I kept forgetting about them. The next one is going to be interesting, because I think this is one that I could love, because I love basic bitch young adult fantasy. Like, I just do. I love it. It's very fun most of the time. It's a great palate cleanser, especially after reading Gallant. We have the Luminaries. You guys have been dying for me to read this one. I have had so many comments since I basically got this book about you guys wanting me to read this one. I keep putting it off because I'm like, this could either be a 5-star or a 1-star. This could literally land anywhere. And you guys hate this book. You guys hate this book so much. So I feel like this is going to be a great, yeah, I think this is going to be a great palate cleanser after Gallant, because I need to relax. I need help. I'm gonna go eat a cookie and to go drink some water. I need to hydrate, and I'm gonna maybe go watch some Hell's Kitchen. That's what I'm gonna do. That sounds like a good day. And then we probably will start this, because what am I gonna do all day? Not read? That's crazy. It's like 11 o'clock. What am I gonna do? That's crazy. So anyway, actually, I think it's 1 o'clock. I think I've literally just missed half the day, because I did go and blow the leaves off of our driveway. So that took quite a long time until I ran out of battery. So I'm charging the batteries right now. But I think it's actually 1 o'clock. I just basically lost time. So anyway, we're going to go into the Luminaries, which I know is like monster hunting kind of stuff. So I hope it's better than you guys. I feel like I'm about to lose all my credibility as a booktuber. I am at 35% into the Luminaries, and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. Oh no. You guys have all been talking about how terrible it is, and I literally love it so much. It reminds me so much of like, I think it's like, I don't think it's anything great. It's just so entertaining, and I love the monster hunting, and I love our main character, and that she's like actually incompetent. That makes me cackle. So different than you have like the normal, like the character who's like, oh, I can do it, and then actually is able to do things. No. I love our main character. I love how real that fact is. It has such nostalgia vibes. It is like I am reading a book back in like 2008. It feels like I am reading the Vampire Diaries combined with Vampire Academy combined with some Twilight. I love the setting. The setting is very Twilight-esque feeling. I just love it. I absolutely love it. Following our main character, Winnie, who is an outcast of this group, massive group of people called the Luminaries. And all the different people in the Luminaries are split up into days of the week. I know this is going to bother some people. So her family used to be, I think it's like Hunters on Wednesday. So Winnie's name is Winnie Wednesday, but an incident happened and they ended up becoming outcasts of the Luminaries for so many years, and then they'll be welcomed back after those so many years. But Winnie isn't satisfied with that because she wants to become a hunter, and the cast duration goes through like her 16th birthday, and that's when she can try out to be a hunter. That's when she has to try out. So that's kind of her whole goal in this, is becoming a hunter. But there's also a mystery going on in the background where something is going on and something is killing unlike any monster or nightmare that they're used to. And she's trying to figure that out at the same time. And I'm just obsessed with it. I'm only 35% in. So, I mean, something could happen. But I just love how it's written. I love the storyline. I feel like I'm in high school again. It is so fun. So I can definitely see why people would not like this. Especially being in a Illumicrate box and going to a bunch of people who like more adult fantasy. This is definitely heavy young adult fantasy. So if you're not a fan of young adult fantasy, you will not like these. But I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I hope I come back after I'm finished and it's like 4 or 5 stars. I'm so excited. Yeah, I've lost all credibility as a booktuber and as a reader from this video. DNFing Little Thieves and DNFing River Enchanted, but being obsessed with Gallant and the Luminaries, all credibility gone. You might hear a little bit of background noise in this little fast update because we were watching football. It is Sunday football time. But I have like a lot of updates, so I really needed to sit down and talk to you guys because I've been really bad and not filming stuff for the past couple of days, and I have like whipped through some things. But my parents came to visit to celebrate my birthday a little bit late because they came on the weekend after my birthday. So it's been a really fun time, and they just left this morning, so now I can finally update you on the things that have been going on because I've done a lot. I feel kind of bad about it. So first off, I did finish The Luminaries. I'm giving it 5 stars. Do I objectively think this is a 5-star book? No. No, there are a couple of things that immensely irritated me while reading this book, but I loved it. I loved it so much, and the nostalgia was insane. Really did feel like I was reading something back in like 2008, and I just loved the vibes of it. I loved the characters. I loved the monster hunting. I think the monsters are really, really cool. I loved the characters. There was so much angst. Oh my gosh, the angst in this. This is slow burn, angsty teenage feelings drama. I loved it. I ate it up. This is what I missed from young adult books. Just this, like, I feel like 2008 and around that time, 2009, mid to late 2000s, just did this teen angst so well. This is what, the feeling that I get from this book is what I wanted to feel when I read The Raven Boys. That is what I wanted to feel. Like, this nostalgia vibe from this, I wanted to feel that way when I read The Raven Boys, which I did not. We all know I give that a 3. But this was it. This is what I wanted. I am giving this a 5. I know so many of you did not like this book, but I am obsessed with it. I love it. I'm so excited to continue in the series. And that is amazing. We now have 2 5 stars, which I think is funny because we have, what, 3 DNFs and 2 5 stars? So is this going to be like DNF or 5-star? I feel like that's what this is becoming. So I have, let me switch you around to over here. I think I need to go a little bit lower. Yeah, so this is the Illumicrate shelf. This is all the books that I have left for Illumicrate, except for there's 3 more sitting over here. So once some of this gets cleared off, which I should be able to fit everything on one shelf in a second when I show you the updates. So next, after the Luminaries, we had A Song of Silver Flame Like Night. And let me lower this down a little bit more. There we go. That's a lot better. So we had this one, and this one is following, how do I explain this one? I don't know how to explain this one. This is following 2 different main characters, and one of them is this girl who is working as a kind of a call girl, but like it's definitely different. It's like, I feel like the basic term is call girl, but it's not really a call girl. Like, I don't know exactly what the equivalent of what is in here would be. It reminds me more of like an entertainer who can do that on the side kind of thing. I don't know what you would call it. Like I said, they call them, I think, song girls in this. Our main character is a song girl in this region that she lives that has been taken over, colonized by this group of people. And so her basically has to work at this place or nothing. I mean, there's no other option. It's also very anti-magic and all sorts of different things. The colonizers are the only ones who are allowed to have magic. And then our other main character is a magic user who is not one of the colonizers. So it's just, that's an awful way of explaining it, but I think they're trying to overthrow the government, obviously. But I just did not, this didn't work for me. This didn't work for me. And I think this didn't work for me is because this was very detached. So like the main characters were super detached from, hard to feel weird talking about it like that, so we're just going back to this really fast because I didn't realize I was going to be talking about it this much. You felt very detached from the characters. So the first chapter was really good. It was in our female protagonist's point of view, and you kind of did feel attached to her and what was going on, and I feel like it explained it really well. But the second we switched to the male protagonist's point of view, there was just this insane information dump, and it just did not stop. So I got actually to about 80 pages in this one because I didn't mind the writing, but I hate info dumping to this extreme level, and a lot of it just didn't make sense. I don't like the magic system in this. It wasn't explained very well with that information dump, and it wasn't shown to you. It was more like they did this and this is this, and it just felt weird. Like, I feel like I'm 70 pages in and I don't understand the characters, their motivations for things, who they are. It's just very dry, and again, 80 pages in, I feel like nothing and too much has happened at the same time. So I didn't love this one. I can see people liking this one. I can see me reading this when I got it and being like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. I feel like this is one that I could finish, but I lost interest in it, and I'm just not here to read a book that I'm just kind of interested in. I really don't like magic. I really don't like the magic in this. So I think that's really what killed it, is I gotta have strong characters, and this did not have strong characters. If I don't have strong characters, then I have to have a strong understanding of the plot and the magic system, and I didn't have either of those either. So I had nothing really going for it, but I did like the writing style. I think the writing style is good, so I would try this author again, just not this series. And back to the board, next up we have Some Desperate Glory, which is like, hey, this is science fiction. Let's have a palate cleanser because we've been reading so much fantasy. So now we're gonna read Some Desperate Glory, but I also have an update about that. Like I said, I got through a lot in the past couple of days when I couldn't update. So I have DNF'd this one, and I actually DNF'd this one within like 10 pages. And I'm actually super surprised because I am very picky about my science fiction. I am very, very, very picky about my science fiction, and I do tend to like young adult science fiction better than adult science fiction, but there are quite a few science fiction books that I like. I tend to like anything that has to do with space. I tend to like young adult or horror. Anything that is like AI or stuff like that, I tend to like in adult books. I'm very picky with my sci-fi, and this felt more like an adult science fiction with all the stuff I don't like in it, and I actually hate the writing. I was really surprised it has like a 4.09. Like I was ready for this to be amazing, and I immediately hated this book. I hate the writing style. It is so dry and stilted. I don't even think I could tell you what this is about, but it had every single trigger warning you could possibly imagine relating to people. Like I didn't see any animal stuff, but relating to people, there's like every possible trigger. And I read some reviews afterwards. People say it's dark, it's really heavy. And I'm just like, that's not the type of sci-fi that I like. Like I generally like more action-packed, lighthearted sci-fi compared to something this intense. Also, I hate the main character so much. This book is trying to do something, and it could do it. Maybe it does it, but I'm not here to read it. Like, I'm not here to get into what this character and what this author is trying to do with this character. Basically, you're following this, like, teenage girl who's been indoctrinated, and so she's super racist, super bigoted. I mean, she's awful. She's awful. So the point of the book is her learning to not be this way. But it was so awful being inside of her head, and I read a character like this. Like this was I feel like Poster Girl. So Poster Girl by Veronica Roth does the same idea, but our character is already slightly undoctrinated. Like she's not horrific. Like you feel like there's like a good person inside her. This doesn't feel like that. Like you would have some serious like redemption arc to do. Like it would take a lot. Sacrifice yourself at the end type of character to make up for what you've done kind of thing. Just am not interested in reading a character that awful. And again, I might be, but I also hate the writing. And that's pretty much what sealed the deal. Was the writing was just, I couldn't even get through like 10 pages. And I was like, I hate this. I actually hate this. And I love this reading vlog because I feel this reading vlog is really showing me like that you can just put down a book that you pick up. I feel like there's a lot of guilt when you pick a book up and you're like, oh, I'm not really liking this at the beginning, but I should push through another 100 pages to make sure I don't really like this. I think you just should drop stuff you don't like, because then I was like, oh, this isn't going well. Maybe I'm back in a reading slump. Picked up the Jasad Air next, and I'm obsessed. I read 80 pages pretty much in one sitting, and I don't want to put this down. I am absolutely obsessed with this book, and I feel like that just shows you that like, hey, it's okay. Like it's okay to put stuff down to get to something that you're like, oh my gosh, like maybe Some Desperate Glory ends up being like a really good story that I would like, or Song of Silver, Flame Like Night, you get to connect with the characters more later. But like, how much am I willing to read of a book I'm not enjoying to get to something I'm enjoying when I have so many other books that I could love right away? So I think sometimes books are worth sticking out, but I think other times they're just not. And I think I'm pretty happy with my DNFs in this vlog. So I think I'm just like, I gotta accept that. Like this whole year has been accepting DNFing books, and this vlog is really like, I mean, it is testing me. It is absolutely testing me about my mental fortitude with DNFing. But you know what? I've read some great books this year, and I've DNF'd some stinkers. And I didn't have to put myself through that. I have almost no 1 stars this year, which is crazy. Like that is actually crazy. So I am now reading something that I'm absolutely obsessed with. So I'm hoping it continues that way. I am, yeah, like I said, I think I'm about 90 pages now, 80, 90 pages. It's so good. So we have amazing characters, amazing plot, a really cool magic system, but it's like, and again, it's not info dumping stuff on us too hard, so you're easily able to figure out what's going on. I love who it seems is potentially going to be the love interest, but I could see this becoming like a villain plot, and I would love that too. I love the side characters. There's just so much personality in this book that I was missing from like Song of Silver Flame Like Night, and that this is what I wanted from that book. Like how I was talking about like being detached from your characters. I want characters to root for and to love and be entertained by. Like I don't even have to love them, but I need to be entertained by them. So I am loving this. This is following our main character, Sylvia, which is not her real name. She actually is the Jasad heir, hence the name of the book. And the Jasad are a group of people that have been basically outlawed by the rest of the world. Like they are killed in trials or not in trials. And so she is trying to figure out how to live in this world being an outcast and basically trying to hide everything about herself. It's so good. I'm obsessed with it. I love the writing. Love the characters, love everything about it. So I'm going to continue reading this and I'll update you about where we go from here. Oh yeah, we need to fit the rest of the books on here. So let's go back down to the place where all the Illumicrate books are. So next will be Zara, which I'm nervous for. Zara does not have good ratings. I think out of all of these, I think the ones that like I'm most excited are for After the Forest, the Phoenix Keeper. I'm most nervous about Takeja God. I don't think I'm gonna like that one, sadly. I'm really excited for An Academy of Liars. I don't remember where all of these exactly go. I'm gonna have to double check. But for now, let's stick that one here and maybe that one here. So that is all of them. This is all the Illumicrate books that we have left. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, adding the one that I'm currently reading. So that's crazy. That is crazy that we've got them all to fit on one shelf. And I am so excited to be done with all of these. Finished the Jasad heir. I finished this one and I really enjoyed this one, but it is only gonna get a 4-star. This could go up to 4.5. This could. But I started to have some problems with it after about the 50% mark. The first 50% of this book was easy 5 stars. I love how this was written. This is like literally written so well. I love the characters. I just had a couple of issues with the plot, and there were a couple of like plot hole type things. So this was so good. So good. I don't even remember if I told you guys. I think I told you guys what this was about. But I absolutely loved our main characters and I love the plot. It is a very generic, like generally generic fantasy plot, but it was done in a very interesting way. The problem is I do think I'm glad I didn't know what the marketing was for this, but now that I've read it, I remember how it was marketed. It was marketed as like a trial type book where our Jasad heir, who is our main character, she ends up performing in these trials to become this champion. And I will say the trials were not that important. They were really good, except for the third one. But the first two were really, really cool. And they were interesting, but they were really not the focal point of the book. It's not like Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass, like the whole book was like trials. This is not, or what is it? My favorite, The Prison Healer. The Prison Healer. That is a trial book. That the focus were the trials in that. The focus was not the trials. You really didn't get to the trials until over 50%, I think, through the book. And I definitely can see why that would annoy some people. I think I would have been a little bit more annoyed if I had remembered that as being like the synopsis and stuff of this book. So luckily I didn't have that much issue with it, but it did lower the rating a little bit just because I think the trials could have been more interesting and taken up a little bit more of the book. And like the surrounding the trial, like I feel like we did the trial and then it was like a day later after the trial was done. I thought that was a bit odd. Like the reactions to the trial and our main love interest's reaction to the trial, that is what I kind of wanted to read more of, and we definitely skipped over that a couple of times. I did feel a little bit of a disconnect between the two main love interests. I was a little surprised because I felt it super strongly at the beginning of the book, but once, like, there was like this moment that they kind of like, you could tell like it was like it almost went from dislike to, oh, now they're in love with each other. And I didn't vibe with that. Like, I felt like it needed to just be a little more natural. It's almost like they drag the enemies to lovers part, the enemies part, a little bit too far into the book. So when it finally switched to like a romantic interest, it was like, I don't know if I'd like totally buy it. So I was a little bit off with the romance, but I think the second book is going to remedy that, like me being separated from this book, because the second book's not coming out till July 2025. So I think being separated from the story a little bit will help me kind of like them a little bit better, because I did love them. Like, I love it was really weird. I feel like normally it's like I love the couple or I didn't feel the chemistry, and in this one it was both at the same time. Like, I love them and I felt like a little bit of the chemistry was missing. It was a very strange experience. So I think being separated a little bit from this before I read the second book, because I'm definitely going to read the second book, will help me kind of with that a little bit of an issue. Now, my main problem, there were a couple of plot point issues that I had. Like, I feel like some things were just very convenient. Like, she was able to walk around the castle sometimes with like no guards following her at the most convenient times, and that felt not realistic, like especially with what was going on at the time. That just felt like the author kind of forgot that she was surrounded by guards all the time and they would not just let her walk around by herself. So I thought those couple of points were a bit odd. I also didn't love the ending of this one. That's really kind of what brought it down, is it did something that I don't like but is super common in duologies, especially when there's like a romance blooming. You have to kind of add like some issue with the romance, and normally it's at the end of the first book so that the next book kind of picks up on it and you have the tension again. I just don't think it needed that. I feel like there was plenty of tension and stuff going on that we just didn't need the level that it went to, and I really didn't understand why the main character did what she did. Like, I really don't understand why Sylvia chose to do what she did. It felt very out of character, and I feel like that was supposed to be the point of what she did, but it just didn't make sense to me. Like, there was no point where I was like, this makes any sort of sense, like, for anybody. Like, what was the point of it happening except for one thing, but that could have been achieved a different way. It was, if you've read it, you kind of, I feel like you know what I'm talking about. So I didn't love the ending of this. I am very excited to read the second book, and like I said, it is a duology, so it's just 2 books, which I agree with. I do not think this needs to be a trilogy, but I am curious how deep into dislike the author is going to go with the main 2 characters after what happened at the end of this one, because I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to read that level of conflict again, because this was slow burn. This was the definition of slow burn, and I don't know if I want to go through all of that all over again. So I am hoping that stuff gets resolved early on in the next book, but the way that this one ended, I don't think it's going to. I also don't understand why this was in the romantasy category. This is not romantasy. This is straight up fantasy. Like, they definitely miscategorized this as a romantasy book. This is not romantic. Like, there's a romance in it, but it is 1000% not the major focal point of this book. The major focal point is the magic and the plot and the consequences going on. So I did really like this book. There were enough issues, unfortunately, that it dropped to a 4. I really thought this was going to be a 5-star. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And that back half of the book did mess up a little bit of that. But I did really, really enjoy it. So another Illumicrate that I very much enjoyed, 4-star, very happy with that. We are moving on to, I got to do a bunch of stuff today, so I probably won't get too much reading done until tonight. But we're moving on to books that I'm a little more nervous about. Like, there were definitely a couple more at the beginning that I was more excited about. We're now moving into books that I'm like really kind of nervous about. So I'm not super excited about that. I think our next one is Zara. I actually don't know how many more of these books that we'll be getting through in this video. I have decided to split up into 2 because I don't want the November wrap up to kind of ruin this vlog, because this vlog has a bunch of ratings for things that I don't want to give in my wrap up, because then what's the point of watching this? So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically read as much as I can until like November 30th, or probably more like the 28th, because I need to edit and stuff. But we're gonna read as long as I can, and this will probably be released on the 30th or the 29th, sometime at the end of November. And then my wrap up will come out the first week of December, and then the rest of this video, what's left, will come out hopefully the first half of December, because I really want to be done with these Illumicrate books in the first half of December. But it depends, because if I end up liking all of them and I have to read all of them, it takes significantly longer to read them than DNF them. So we're not going to rush it if I'm liking the books. Oh, and a little bit of housekeeping. I kind of put it in the video, but The Night Ends With Us is not an Illumicrate book. I spent all this time thinking it was a Illumicrate book, but it's not. It's a Fairy Loot. It just looked like the other Illumicrate designs, and it was next to Of Jade and Dragons, and so I just put it in with the Illumicrate books. So it's like an imposter was living on my shelves. So I moved it to the Fairy Loot section, because I was organizing the Fairy Loot section and the Alcrate section as well. And that's when I figured it out. I was like, this isn't an Illumicrate book. That was very confusing. So anyway, that has been fixed. So I'm not sure how many we have left, but this one's now done, and I took out The Night Ends With Us. I think it's now probably 10 around. But yeah, when I grab Zara later, I will count and let you guys know how many that we have left. We're getting through these books, guys. I'm so excited. Like, I feel so productive. So anyway, let's move on to reading Zara. Okay, so I think this is where I'm gonna end the video for now. It is late at night. I just finished washing the dog, and I have also attempted to read 2 of the next books, and it's not going well, so I feel like I just need to end it now. I feel like this is a good opportunity to just end it now. I'm leaving for Thanksgiving stuff tomorrow, and I need to read Holly and the Run at the Library. What is it called? What is it called? So I need to read that. So I really need to focus my time on that and then go back to the Illumicrate book. So I think now is the perfect time to end this video. So let's go over the final update of the 2 that I did attempt to read. So like I said, I was going to pick up Zara. I did not make it far in this. I did not make it far in this. It was really weird. So there's an author note at the beginning of this, and I can't tell you what this is about. Can't tell you what this is about. But there is an author note at the beginning of this that kind of pretty much like says, you're not gonna like this. Like, that's literally what it feels like it's telling you, is that I'm gonna write this in a way that most people are not gonna enjoy. It's a very weird way to intro a book. So it immediately like puts you on edge, thinking you're not gonna like the book. It's a very strange way to intro it. I get why she did it though, because I hate the writing. So she was right. Like, I really didn't like the writing. And I feel like she basically is saying like she wants to write it in this like almost anime or manga style way. And I can kind of see that, but it doesn't work book-wise. Like, I've watched plenty of really cute anime. Like, I used to watch a lot of like cutesy anime, and I want to say it's like shoujo, something like that. It's like the cutesy relationship ones that are adorable. And they are like somewhat like how they speak is very giggly and over the top, and it's fun in anime style. In this, it just felt super cringy, like super cringy. And I don't know where the disconnect is like there. I feel like it should work in book form, but it didn't work here. And I'm so sad because this was one that I got and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I want to love this so much. And I really didn't like how this was written. So unfortunately, this is a very fast DNF. Then I picked up After the Force. This is the next one that I had to read, and I already was on the fence about this one. Like, when I got it, I did see some pretty good reviews about this one, but this is not normally my style of book that I enjoy. We've talked about it before, but it's kind of like with Little Thieves. I just generally don't love fairy tale retellings. They have to be like a very specific writing style. Like, I have to feel very attached, and it does have to be very much more modernized. and that was like nothing that was in this book. Again, this was a DNF pretty fast. I didn't love the writing style. It was very, very detached from your characters. Like, again, it felt very similar to the Little Thieves situation in A River Enchanted, where you're just like this overlord almost kind of person, and you just have this like barrier between you and the characters. If I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the book. Like, that's just, it's not gonna happen. I'm such a character-driven reader, and I did not care. I also don't love the idea of a Gretel and Hansel retelling. That's just not something that I'm super interested in reading. I could have got behind it, but I felt too much like I was in the original Gretel and Hansel story, and I just didn't want to read it. Like, I wasn't interested. And again, it was very stilted. Like, the writing style was like, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and I was like, why are you just like telling me all these stuff? It's like, you're not showing me the story through emotions. And I was just watching, I think, was it Carrie Can Read? I think it was her channel that she was talking about the difference between showing and telling. And this is definitely one of those books that is telling you how the characters are feeling. They're just telling you everything that's going on, and they're not showing you, they're not bringing like the characters really involved into getting you involved in the story. So I'm just not super interested in this one. I think I could have read this one. I don't think it would be anything higher than a 3-star, and I just don't care. I really just don't care. Like, that's not the point of this series. If I was trying to read all of them, this would be a totally different type of series, but I've had these books for so long. So if I just like am still not interested in them and they're not bringing me into the story, I'm just not interested. So I did DNF this one, again, relatively quickly. It just wasn't my style of story. So that's kind of why I wanted to stop there, because I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books left. I have 9 left, which is crazy. It's totally crazy. I have 9 left, and I think that 9 are going to be in the second series, because I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I counted that wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So we did 10 in this one, and we'll do 9 in the next one, because The Night Ends in Fire is not a Illumicrate book like what I said. Again, I still can't believe that like popped in there. So let me show you what's left on the shelf, and then we'll do a very, very, very quick wrap up. As you can see, we haven't even filled up like the shelf. Like, this is empty now. So this was over here, but it's actually supposed to be over here. So next up, and what we will start with in the next video, is Last to Leave the Room. We have The Principle of the Moments, To Cage a God, of Jade and Dragons, The Phoenix Keeper, A Dark and Drowning Tide, Mistress of Lies, and Academy for Liars. I could not read that one sideways. And then Until We Shatter. The December Illumicrate, whenever it comes, is not going to be a part of this video, just because this is going to come out in the beginning of December. December's books are going to be starting that new Read My Books As I Get Them vlog. Definitely am less excited for the back half of this, which is really sad. I just like, there's nothing in this pile that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna love it, which has me really nervous. But I can also say that about this side. Well, I guess I was really excited about the Luminaries and some Desperate Glory. No, I was excited for a lot in this pile. This back half is the one that I'm like, I don't know about. I don't know about. Okay, this is a lot of books to hold up. Like, this is a lot of books to hold up at once, and they're not going to be in any type of order. That's just not happening, because it's so many books. Oh, this is difficult, and they're like weird sizes. Like, they're very. Oh, okay. There you go. There's all the books. There's all the books. Okay, I can't hold them up like that. I thought I'd be able to, but that's not happening. We just talked about these two, but these were both very quick DNFs before 50 pages, so they will not be included in the November wrap-up. We DNF'd this one this was 70 pages, so this will be in our November wrap-up. We had Little Thieves, which was, I think, about 100 pages, so again, this will be in the wrap-up. Going through all the DNFs first. A River Enchanted, this was under 50 pages, so it will not be included in the wrap-up. Voyage of the Damned, which is probably arguably my least favorite out of all of the books that I tried, this was under 50 pages. Definitely not included in the wrap-up. And the final DNF was Some Desperate Glory, which was under 50 pages, just in like the writing style. Probably second least favorite in this pile, and this will also not be in the wrap-up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the books DNF'd out of the 7 will not be in the wrap-up. You got like a lot of exclusive stuff going on in this video. So for the books that I did end up liking the just finished The Jasad Heir. I absolutely love this book. I think I am moving up to a 4.25. Now that I've sat with it the whole day, I'm going to move it up to a 4.25. I really liked this book. It was so good, and I cannot wait for the second one to come out. And then we had The Luminaries, the shocking book of the video of the year, the surprise 5-star that I absolutely loved. I don't know which one I like better, the 2 5-stars from this video, but I did love this, and I have the second book on the way to read the second I get my hands on it. And then we have Gallon, another huge surprise, and one, again, one that I just didn't have that much like super big hope in, but if I had remembered that I loved Addie LaRue before reading this, I probably would have had higher expectations for this, but I totally forgot that V. Schwab wrote Addie LaRue, and I loved Addie LaRue. Addie LaRue is probably one of my favorite books ever, along with Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This just had some of the same vibes, like just the grief stuff that Addie LaRue deals with. It was so good. So good. Definite 5 stars. So obviously the winners of the video are The Jasad Heir, The Luminaries, and Gallon. I have a feeling The Jasad Heir is just gonna keep going up. Like by the time I do my wrap up, it might be higher. Because the more I sit with it, the more I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love that book. I love that book. So this could turn out to be, I don't think it'll be 5 stars. I think the highest it'll ever get is a 4.5 because I did not like the ending. Although, if I love the second book and I give the second book a 5-star and it fixes some of the stuff from the first book could become a 5-star. So we'll probably know next year whenever I read the second book for this. But yeah, the winners. It's just funny that I had like, either I loved the book or I DNF'd it. There was like no in between. I didn't finish anything that ended up being a 3-star. So I think that's kind of cool. And I feel like my DNF system kind of worked. Anyway, that was the first part in the Illumicrate Purge. I think it's going really well. It is highly stressful, but also kind of crazy fun that I just don't have to read stuff that I don't want to read. So it's a nice balance between TBR and mood reading. It's kind of interesting. So anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Make sure you like it if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, so especially so you do not miss part 2, which will be coming out in December, and then we will be moving on to the Owl Crates. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you've read any of these. And of course, tell me if any of the ones you DNF'd, if you like them, definitely tell me. I'm not going to change my mind about reading them, but I would love to hear why you liked them. Because I definitely know some of you have talked about Little Thieves, A River Enchanted, and After the Forest. I have heard some of you talk about that one, so definitely let me know down in the comments down below if you liked any of them, or if you didn't like any of them. I know some of you are going to be talking about the Luminaries. I don't mind. Bash it all you want. I'm cool with it. I get it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I am gonna go shower and go read Holly in the Wren Library, read that for our book club. And yeah, that's everything I have for you today. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.